was not, it was an evidence-based report. Since you're journalists, you are aware that some opposition politicians were talking about thousands of their supporters who were abducted and went missing. And you are aware that the Fox-Odoi Committee of Parliament investigated those issues. The Fox-Odoi Committee comprises many MPs from NUP. That committee came up with a report, but to the best of my knowledge, it has never been presented before the plenary for discussion. I'm sure there were certain findings. It is so interesting that today I do not hear those MPs demand that this report should be debated by Parliament. That is so interesting. But instead, their demands are that the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission must resign. Yet for me, despite my limited resources, I did an investigation and came up with a report. Now, when our commission was one of the institutions which appeared before the Fox-Odoi Committee, we actually appeared there 4 times. We carried even files, all files of on complaints, allegations of torture, missing people. We carried those files before that committee. At first I was hesitant to surrender our files to the committee, but I did so. So we need to know, the public out there needs to know what the findings of that committee were. But when I appeared before that committee, one of the members of Parliament, actually the woman MP for Mukono district, Honorable Hanifa Nabukeera, said, Chairperson, in my constituency of Mukono alone, more than 2,000 people who support NUP were abducted and have gone missing. So what I did, I was so concerned that in this country today, in one district, security agencies can abduct more than 2,000 people and they just get lost. I was alarmed. I instantly asked her, Honorable Member, can you share with me the particulars of those people? I want to know their names. I want to know the villages where they come from, where they disappeared from. I want to know their phone numbers, mobile. Today, even my maid at home has a smartphone. Even my 94-year-old father in Bulambuli has a mobile phone. So I wanted to know their phone numbers. I wanted to know, since they are their supporters, I imagine they are voters. So they have national identity card numbers. I asked for all those particulars. I want to know their next of kin. Honorable, I request that you give me that information. She said, by the time you reach your office today, after leaving this committee, you will have received all that information on your email. So, and I never received that information. 3 weeks later, excuse me, I wrote to her a letter requesting for that information. I never got a response. I did not give up. I wrote to her another letter, this time through the chairperson of the committee, Honorable Fox-Odoi. Up to today, I have never got a reply. This really surprised me. And of course, Honorable Nabukeera is among the MPs who have now walked out of Parliament in protest against their so-called missing people. So then I used to see press conferences called by the Secretary General of NUP about their missing people in thousands. So which prompted me to write to him a letter requesting for exactly the same information I had sought from Honorable Nabukera. This time I got a reply, but to my surprise, the names I received were not even 100, they were 30. And in my report, which I made public at a press conference recently, in my report, I revealed that 12 of those people had never gone anywhere. All along, as their names were being mentioned at press conferences, they were in their homes. These 12 people, some of them were facing trial in Wangadya court for vandalism of electric wires. Others were facing trial for malicious damage to property. Others were under investigation for terrorism and murder, and they were out on police bond. Actually, they were so shocked to hear their names among those who had gone missing. All this I mentioned in my report. So I am not aware if Honorable Rubongoya deliberately gave us false information or he genuinely thought these people were missing. Okay. Then I said the other 18 people, we were unable to find them. And in my conclusion, possibly these people have never even existed. Why? Because first, the next of kin whom they gave us, some of them, their phone numbers were not attached. Again, this is a surprise today. Most people have mobile phones. Then, most of them, we were not given their national identity card numbers. What we were given were places overboard. This person stays in Chebando, this one in Bugolobi, this one. But we tried to trace those people. And by the way, we made contact with most of them, but they were not interested in talking to us. So they were so reluctant. They refused to come to our offices. Even when we looked for them, most of them refused to talk to us. Those who spoke to us were telling us that they were not interested in these matters, and we are telling our investigators, close those files. So, who has seen families whose husbands, fathers were abducted and disappeared? I know what it means. I know what they go through. Since you are a journalist, today, go and look for the family of the former Chief Justice of Uganda, Benedicto Chiwanuka. Go and look for the family of the former Vice Chancellor of Makerere University. Then we had just one university, Professor Kalimuzo. Go and look for the family of Bishop Wasiche, my Bishop of Mbale Diocese, who was abducted and disappeared forever. Go and look for his wife today. Go and look for his son, daughter, and talk to them. And compare with the situation I have just described, where no one wants to talk to you. So what conclusion do you reach? My conclusion is that the people whose names were given to us as missing were ghosts. And why I'm strengthened again in this conclusion is that in the past, NUP has brought to us people whom they say were tortured, and they say we were not tortured. One of them was Eric Mwesigwa, who came with terrible wounds on his chest. My officer who interviewed him shed tears, just imagining the pain he went through, burnt with a hot flat iron for supposedly supporting Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi. Eventually, what emerged was that, this is what Eric eventually told us. I was paid 250,000 shillings. I was promised 50 million shillings. But the deposit given to me was 250,000 shillings. And I was burnt by the people of NUP themselves. And they told me to offer myself to be paraded as a victim of vicious torture by the army. And later on, when I asked for the balance, it was not given to me. So he went public, you heard that. So I closed Eric Mwesigwa's file just recently. Then the same party brought to us a refugee woman whom they gave Portuguese names. Portuguese or Greek? I think Greek names. They said her name's Alexandros Marinos. This woman was gang raped by UPDF soldiers because of listening to Robert Kyagulanyi's songs. And at first, I wondered, I myself, I listened to his songs and I love them, So no one has ever, as I'm in the car, I listen to them in my home. So I started to imagine how the soldiers managed to hear her playing these songs in her home. But I was challenged. This lady actually was paraded at a press conference, and I was personally challenged to investigate her case. I requested that she be brought. They brought her. She was accompanied by so many people. And what emerged was that she had been promised 50 million shillings. She had been given a deposit of 1 million shillings. And she had been promised a visa to travel to a certain country in Europe. And after her keddembe, when she went to demand to ask for the balance, it was not given to her. She was actually threatened, and she left the country. So, and others, I have statements here recorded from people who tell me I was hired and promised 500,000 shillings to start a store for chapati. Ndi musisi wa chapati. I was promised, you get another person, come with him. There is work for you. If you agree to act like you were arrested in Mukono and dumped in Masaka for not supporting President Museveni, and you will be recorded. Indeed, these people were recorded on TV as victims of abductions, and they are there. They have recorded statements here. So when I look at all these things, I tend to think that the names of the 18 people who are still missing are names of people who have never existed anywhere in this world. That's the conclusion I make. Under the penal code, I think even under the Police Act, penal code, there is a crime called giving false information to police. And under the Inspectorate of Government Act, there is a crime called giving false information to the Inspector General of Government. As you know, before my current posting, I was Deputy IGG. I think time has come for us to have a similar law, a similar crime created to protect the integrity of my office. A crime of giving false information to the chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission. Why I say now is the time is we are given very, very limited resources. that you devote your entire budget on investigations to a non-existent crime is inexcusable. That's what I can say. I think those who are calling for my removal from office are doing so because they have not found me to be a willing partner in this drama. But I should remind them that the procedure for removal of the chairperson from office is provided for in the Constitution, and the grounds for my removal are provided for. And those grounds are incompetence, inability to perform my duties, and misconduct. There is a procedure, and many of these people calling for my resignation are lawyers. They know that procedure. They can take that path. But for me, I'm not going to allow this commission to be used in those games. And I also want to appeal to the people of Uganda, especially the youth, to refuse, to resist, to reject being recruited in that drama. It's dangerous. Some people will die in that process. If you remember what happened to Eric Mwesigwa, and somebody who was beaten, boxed at the residence of a member of parliament after he went to ask for payment for the role he had played in that game. The consequences one of these days will be dire. And I wrote about it recently in one of the local dailies. That is the message I conveyed recently, that we should depoliticize human rights.
Thank you.